I read comics when I was a kid. I started drawing when I was a kid, and it was always this thing that I kind of dreamed of and thought one day I would do it. And then after I went to art school, I realized I could do it, so I just started making comics. I'm Bradley Wohlgemuth, and I'm an illustrator and comic book artist. I've always liked computers and technology, but I also really like monsters, and a lot of cyberpunk, especially cyberpunk horror, straddles the line between horror and monsters and technology, which I really find fascinating. And I just really like drawing kind of monstrous machines as opposed to like the sleek sci-fi futuristic stuff. A lot of what I come up with is my own imagination. When I start creating stuff, I try to kind of distance myself from other works and other artists, and I kind of just try to sit in a little bit of isolation and just work and kind of create stuff from my own head as much as possible. Style is usually kind of gritty, dark. I like sci-fi, especially the cyberpunk stuff. And then for mediums, I tend to gravitate towards traditional pen and ink and a little bit of watercolor and some technical pens as well, but I really go for the traditional pen and ink style. Manga artist by the name of Tsutomu Naihe. He also has like a lot of cyberpunk horror comics, and I really liked his gritty style, which kind of influenced me in the way I created my style. I'm mainly working on Misery's Company Volume 2, which is a sequel to obviously the first book, which was like a cyberpunk horror action comic. It was kind of where I broke into, I worked on comics for a while, but it was where I finally finished something and got it into readers' hands. And it's what I've always wanted. It's kind of a cyberpunk tech monster story. I'm also writing a Baxter the Dead comic, which will be a little bit more quirky humor, but kind of a dark humor, as well as I still create standalone illustrations and artwork. For me, I like to go to conventions. Those are the best way for me. I find I have a really hard time doing any sort of publicizing on the internet, especially it's just so hard to really show what I'm doing on a 2-inch by 2-inch screen. So it's just a lot better for me to go to conventions. So I go to Comic-Con in Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton, trying to go to Calgary, trying to go all these places, because when you're in person, you can you're there to talk to people, and they can see your work in how it's supposed to be presented, and it's just a lot easier to get people to really pay attention and get into it. For me, my main goal would be to work independently, creating my own content. I don't really see myself working for a big company. I think just being able to make things as I want and having complete creative control is really what's most important for me. I think I would say to practice as often as you can, but to let yourself relax a little bit, because it's a really long, hard road, and if you try to go too hard, I think a lot of artists wear themselves out, and then they just kind of have to, they end up either taking a break or quitting, because it's such a tedious grind. Not to be discouraging, but it is difficult.